from other people. Like, talked to a middle-aged woman about it at the airport, because it turns out she lived in Rome for a couple years, so she recognized the wolf's head. I suppose a wolf can be associated certainly the Italian right wing, maybe fascism. So maybe certainly I look like a knob, no doubt about that. But maybe I come off as a fascist knob. Like, okay, maybe that'd be less good. That'd be less good to come off as a fascist knob, said very matter-of-factly. But so the little plan I've had for, so clearly, like 23 years of existence, 23 years for A/B testing, of course, like puberty or getting marginally taller by a centimeter or two, different schools, again, only tricked one girl into making a disappointing life decision of wasting a couple of months of her life, so clearly, right, like the past 23 years have not been great. And so to A/B test naturally, right, you gotta try to do something new, right? Gotta insert generic Albert Einstein quote about insanity. And so what can I do differently? Well, dear audience, the cunning plan, the cunning plan is simply lose 20 pounds roughly, aka try to lose some of the facial fat, baby fat, if you're being baby fat. It's such a kind way to say fat, but yes, I would like to lose some of the baby fat. I certainly don't think it's helped. Maybe it helped me in 6th grade. I do think it did in 6th grade. It is doing me zero favors at this point. What a strange road design. Like, you're saying, like, very strange road design. So lose 20 pounds. Lose 20 pounds. One glorious idea. Very original and novel. Lose 20 pounds is one idea. And then the other one, I do love walking around with a fucking vlog camera. Like this is Rome or Beijing or Sao Paulo, walking around the fucking DMV, generic strip mall of suburbia, soy branding with a camera. I do love the visual. I'm wearing some sweats, freezing my hands. Because again, right, self-loathing, man. Gotta punish myself for being such a schmuck. Couldn't do anything on a Friday. So here we are in fucking Hyattsville. Gosh, F word is a nice word. Yeah, that's such a good word. Anyways, again, George Carlin's a little bit about it. And there's like 13, 15 different ways you can use it. And like genuinely like if you're an English professor, like genuinely different contexts. So excellent versatile word. The same way I love like versatile football, footy, soccer players like Zabazlai or Hector Fort. You know, love me some versatile words. Love me some versatile diction, you know? So, yeah, so the plan is effectively by next spring/summer, lose 20 pounds with the power of self-loathing, the lose weight or eat less, you fat fuck calendar reminder. And looking at pictures or seeing a cute girl and using that as the GLP-1 of self-loathing to feel shame for eating. I do suppose what I've effectively done is I have effectively just recreated anorexia. I've just recreated anorexia, basically. But male-coded, and that's what's important. Man, recreating anorexia. There's a nice article, I think, in Construction Physics, the Substack, about accidental inventions and how pretty much the guy just made a list of discoveries that were made accidentally. And pretty much it turns out that chemists just do random shit and stuff works, is kind of my takeaway from the article. Like literally, except like how randomly some of the stuff worked out for these accidental discoveries, like is pretty charming. Sorry, just figuring out. Okay, that is the plan. Okay, know what the plan is. Again, yes, rediscovering anorexia. Ingenious, bro. But again, it is warranted. Again, right, like empirical evidence beats vibes for the most part, I would say, right? And when the empirical evidence, when it comes to attractiveness or dating, and you go hand in hand, if it's not working, you gotta change something. And certainly trying to explicitly slim down a bit is a move. Now, again, maybe I'm shallow, but you could also say, well, maybe it's not looks. Maybe looks don't matter, it's personality. But then the implication of that is that that's certainly a much scarier possibility. Which I think isn't really fair, because you never really get, if you never get past the first phase, then you never really get to use the personality part. So I kinda it's like that part's never been part of the A/B test, right? But again, like more conceptually and high level, like that is the more concerning idea. If your personality is the issue, and that is much harder to fix. There's much more disconcerting. Wouldn't see that. Yeah, kudos. Or yeah, I just was the Halloween. Gosh, there's that one house in Cleveland Park, which has. I've walked by it. It'd be so funny if they had like some jolly. Anyways, super cool, but crap, my camera. Reset the gimbal. Again, right, so there's some degree of introspection to my ramblings. Bless you, says the audience. Thank you, says I. You know it's bad when you think you smell food. Like, oh crap. I think I smell a McDonald's sizzly somewhere. You know, can't trust a guy who doesn't like McDonald's, you know? Very suspicious. You hate an honest $2 burger? Very suspicious, bro. Very tough. Again, we're like Chris Arnott. I guess I can't do a walking video without mentioning Chris Arnott and his McDonald's thesis. I do think the nice thing, apparently, like he did speak to McDonald's management. So I do like the fact that some part of McDonald's is altruistically motivated by the fact that McDonald's, thanks to horrible social infrastructure in many parts of the U.S., turns into a community center that is actually well run because it's a business and franchisees care, which is not to be a corporate simp, because Lord knows my aesthetic school of politics doesn't really jive with that. Me and my the vibe school of politics, which is all politics, but again, right, that devastating Trump ad, but so that's a little plan that and now that I've said it out loud and I have it on the record, I'll effectively lose 20 pounds, right? Try to slim a bit, or just slim a bit by, again, I do like just the bluntness of it, with the power of a counter invite of eat less, you fat fuck, and the incredible GLP-1 of seeing a cute girl and feeling immense shame and disappointment and doing these walks. So that should take care of itself. Of course, it's gonna be winter, so like the tough part is being outside in the cold, which I despise. But because of my self-loathing, we won't have an issue with that, because I will be punishing myself effectively by trucking out into the cold. So again, it's not like a self-harm. Like I don't like it's not like it's too strong a term, self-loathing or punishing oneself, but it is like a recognition that you should be doing something. Or I should be doing something. I'm not doing anything particularly interesting. Not going on a date, not going to a bar. But at least I'm doing something. That's some marginal benefit in walking, right? San Francisco? I didn't talk about San Francisco. Very, very charmed by it. So charmed, I walked 50,000 steps. 50,000 steps. What? Yeah, Friday was 44K. Saturday, when I flew back, was 51K. So it literally walked everywhere. It didn't take any. I only took the subway to get to the airport. And at that point, I was dead. My legs truly were dead because I was wearing work shoes. Because I didn't. So I pack very light. So like we truly raw dogged it. Yeah, so I was wearing like these like the good old Adidas Stan Deckers. And yeah, dude, I was dead. Very dead. But San Francisco, very charming. Again, I stay at where like for work, the work hotel was literally at the Tenderloin. So my first night, I took a left instead of a right, and in 4 blocks, I'm like, why is the entire sidewalk covered by tents. And why is there an open pit fire? like genuinely. Although I suppose coming from Philadelphia and having that part of Kensington, it's not overly surprising. And then the hostel I stayed at, there was like genuine fence zombies 10 yards, what would that be in meters, like 5 meters, whatever, from the entrance. It is funny because here you have homeless infrastructure, like you have homeless infrastructure, like how benches have the little grooves. It's like, I mean, that's a bit cliche, but it's kind of most of it here in the DMV or East Coast more broadly. Just the benches. But in San Francisco, the homeless, like the fact that you have like a second door to get to your main door, like you don't see that in Philadelphia. Like you need you have a locked door to get to your locked door. Like that doesn't happen. So that's not a crime thing because that doesn't exist in Philadelphia. Like it is expressly a homeless thing, because the same way you say like that house has that porch, you have a gate in front of the porch so the homeless can't inhabit the porch and like screw you up, or like, you know, in the morning. So like or like the fact that like for the outside, like the street eating parts of restaurants, we have like the little like wooden seating area where there's a roof for those parts. The fact, right, and like the East Coast, like Philadelphia, like you don't, like that's just like that is open air, like you don't, there's no gate blocking that off. In San Francisco, I was genuinely surprised by it, walking around in the morning and seeing restaurant owners like pulling, like, so they literally like cage the outdoor eating. Yeah, it's like there's a restaurant, there's the sidewalk, and the eatery, like the outdoor eating places is separate, like very separate. And there's literally like a separate like gate they need to lower or to raise to access it. Again, that's a homeless thing, because that doesn't happen in DC. So it's just fascinating. So I'm starting off very negative, or at least talk about homeless part, but I generally like San Francisco, and frankly the entire Bay Area. Imagine if I lived there. In fact, you could pop into Oak, because like BART is a heavy rail. It's pretty nice. Like popping into Oakland, or like, boy, I would take if you gave me $10 million, I've achieved everything I would want in life. I will never see snow again. This is the coldest temperature I would deal with ever again. And I would, to use the F word again, I would simply fuck off and disappear into a hole somewhere in various cities. One of which would be San Francisco. So I just think about killing some time. Screw it. Bladder is not gonna. Oh my gosh, my bladder, bro. My biggest enemy, professionally, it makes hour-and-a-half meetings very dodgy. Dodgy affairs, so dodgy. And then it strikes me on my pleasant morning walks, which bring me so much joy and happiness exploring the DMV. And to be fair, you know, it is nice to pop up random places. I generally think, so I'll be going to Buenos Aires around Thanksgiving, because, you know, it'll be springtime down there. It'll be very nice. In retrospect, maybe this year's Brazil is because it's much more tropical, so you kind of need to time it right unless you want to be in humidity. So maybe I should have like tried to fit in Brazil now. It would be better for spring, but live and learn for next year. But so it's the point about walking around random places and enjoying that. I think one of the highlights of Buenos Aires will be going into, you wouldn't call it a suburb, because Buenos Aires is so sprawling and big, but it's a small city, 30 miles outside of Buenos Aires, called De La Plata. And because of how big Argentina is, if you look at it on Google Maps, like there's Buenos Aires, De La Plata, 30 miles out, and then south of De La Plata is literally like just green, like nothing. Now, of course, if you scroll all the way to the coast, there's like coast towns, or there's small like gas station type outposts. But effectively like De La Plata is the end of the line for quite a while. And I don't know. I think like, I don't know if I'm gonna do it on my first day, because principally like a travel thing is you want to, advice that I've heard is like when you get to a new place, because cities feel, I've said this before, because cities feel loosely the same at a high level, right? We've all got a Starbucks. You want to go as far away as possible and make your way back. And so that way you can appreciate the contrast and appreciate the differences. So ideally I would do De La Plata first when I first get there. And plus, to be fair, like there's not a lot to do in De La Plata. Like there's a nice touch of, there's actually a famous cathedral or Orthodox church or something, and there's, you know, football stadium. It's a city. It's a reasonable sized city. Well, it's not, so we'll see. But generally, I think, and so like, it's very pretentious like have a camera around. It's somewhat obnoxious, but I figured just doing one 1 hour walk in the morning gives me some structure. It is nice to document something. And it's only in the morning when it's less busy, so it won't be annoying. And then the rest of the day, just camera away, just walk around, eat, walk around some more, eat, walk around some more, find a bar, watch some footy, because there will be UEFA competitions, you know. Now, enjoy the exchange rate, you know. But yeah, so I think the highlight might be De La Plata. And so, right, De La Plata is literally the end of the line, and is walking from the center where the bus stop is at De La Plata, and wandering all the way to the edge, and just doing a nice little shot, because it will generally look like the end of the line from out there. I think that'll be absolute cinema, as they say. Right, literally, that'll be a nice walk. Like you're walking from, and plus like some parts of the town like are visibly not as nice in terms of like houses and whatnot. So it'll very bluntly be walking from the nice center of De La Plata, or La Plata. I'm not sure of the day. Maybe because the Copa Libertadores this week, where I stayed up till 10:30 watching like Palmerish, LDU Quito, or Flamengo Racing Club. You know. So how did I get on that? Shit. Genuinely no recollection of how I got to that point. Bizarre. But that'll be the highlight. Yeah, it's literally just a walk from the center of a city and walking to the literal edge of civilization. Like, I call that cinema. But that'll be a nice walk. Oh, did I miss the metro? Fuck. Ah, well. Can't say I don't show you guys suburban sprawl. That is effectively what I've done. I recreate or I rediscover anorexia, and I show you suburban sprawl, or just the classic American suburb setup. What more could you want? What more could I give than Queensborough? Yep. What more could I offer? Not much, I'm afraid. Not much. I love this when the road is so big. You can just derp around like this in this strode, and like nothing matters because the strode is so big. Because why not? Why not? What's gonna happen? What can go wrong walking in the strode? Nothing, says the audience. There was a nice article about traffic fatalities increasing. However, I think the guy's takeaway is that the reasons for why traffic fatalities have increased are very inconclusive. And it's not like you can say X, Y, or Z are reasons for traffic fatalities increasing. Yeah, I can't recall. But okay, so I'm not gonna talk. I won't finish talking about San Francisco, but generally, I genuinely enjoy San Francisco. Genuinely think it's a world-class city. The homelessness is unavoidable, but it's a real city that has a lot going on. The tech, like, it's not overly techy, or to the degree to which it is, everybody is. So it's not special or isolating. And it's just, again, like, it's such a, like, you've got actually, I think, very solid public transit. Or if you're post-economic, like, it's generally a perfect city for post-economic. Because you would live in Russian Hill, where because it's so hilly, there are no homeless. Literally because it's too hilly. I'm generally serious. That is why the homeless problem is only, that is how that part of town completely avoids the homeless problem. Because the geography literally prevents it. So I generally believe that. But like, you live in Russian Hill, which is such a nice, very nice neighborhood. Great views of Alcatraz, and again, you have zero homeless problem. And then you have public transit. Maybe not in Russian Hill, but if you're post-economic, you've got You can just Waymo everywhere. If you're post-economic, and therefore none of that's an issue. Like, dude, that'd be the genuine life right there, man. San Francisco, post-economic. A man could dream. Dating would be miserable. Like, oh my gosh. Having to compete with some bastard at OpenAI or Anthropic or whatever startup. Like, bro, you cannot compete. But neither could I compete out here, so it's a bit mute. I understand. I appreciate that. So how do I get onto the metro? I ask the audience rhetorically because, of course, I know how to navigate decisively. Fuck, bro. This shit is retarded. Crap. Excuse me. Crap. It's down there. Ooh. Watch yourself. Oh man, that was a bit. Well, no one's really watching this far, so the mic would have cut. Okay, here we are. So, if I was smart, I would cut that. But thanks for watching.